Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the DLF Commissioner Chronicles. I'm Nathan Powell. I am a commissioner who has many wacky ideas, many wacky settings in my leagues, and so I've started this DLF Commissioner Chronicles series to basically go over the basic steps all the way to the more complicated steps of being a commissioner and how and why each league setting is important and how you can implement them in your league. So in episode 1, we talked about writing bylaws because there's no way you can have a wacky rule or a unique setting without writing those things in your bylaws. Now, 2 things I did forget while writing bylaws last week were the starting lineup, definitely an important part of the bylaws, and your scoring, another important part of your bylaws. Just because those are kind of assumed things by some people, but it is important to have those in your bylaws for whether you're doing obviously, if you're doing Superflex, that's a little bit different. More so, how many running backs you start, how many wide receivers you start, and of course, scoring if there's any differences other than your traditional PPR. But we'll enter episode 2. Today, we're going to be talking about pretty much everything you do between finishing writing those bylaws and starting the draft or starting the auction. So we're going to go through each step that happens there and how to best go about that. So first, you've written your bylaws. So what comes next? You got to recruit your owners. You can't just have a one-team league. So when you wrote your bylaws, you decided how many teams are going to be in your league, whether it's 10, 12, 14, 16, or 24 or more in a double copy league. And so now it's time to recruit those owners. Now, the number one way I've found to recruit owners for fantasy football leagues and dynasty leagues is Twitter. Tweeting them out. And obviously not everybody has the same amount of Twitter followers. The more Twitter followers you have, the more easy it is to just fill your league on Twitter. But there are certainly other avenues that you can do, such as the DLF forum with the Help Wanted section. A very, very good way to find dedicated, hardworking dynasty owners. So your main avenue is Twitter. But then after Twitter, if you're not getting as many bites as you need to fill a league, other avenues are the DLF message boards. There are other websites that have message boards as well that have Help Wanted or Fill Your League type sections. So make sure to use those if you can't fill via Twitter. And another option is league chats. So something that I'll talk about in a little bit is league chats, whether it's a GroupMe or a Voxer or a Slack. There's different types of league chats. So if you are already in a league chat, one of the best ways that I've found to fill future leagues is by going to my previous leagues, whether it's leagues that I commish or leagues that I don't. Now, one thing that I would advise that if you're going to go into another league's chat to advertise a league, I think it's best practice to ask the commissioner of that league, like, hey, I'm trying to fill this league. Can I throw this in this chat room? And I've never, people have asked me that, and I always appreciate it. I've never said no. I'm always like, yes, if you want to fill your league, throw it in here. Some people might get annoyed by that, but I think that at the very least, ask the commissioner. But also, it's the best way to fill leagues and get people. I feel like a lot of people end up playing in a similar circle of dynasty leagues with the same, playing like 5 leagues, but with the same 20 to 25 people. And certainly, you do want to branch out and play with a larger number of people. But if your first obligation or first priority is to fill the league, the number one way to do that, or another way to do that, is by advertising in other league chats, whether it be Voxer or Slack or GroupMe. So those are pretty much the ways that I use in order to fill my leagues. It's Twitter, message boards from various sites, and league chats. So use those 3 things, and you should be able to fill your league. And of course, asking for a retweet from a Ryan McDowell or a Scott Fish or me is never a bad thing. I pretty much always retweet anyone who is trying to fill their leagues, just because I love leagues, and I would hate it if people didn't join mine. So I certainly want everyone who creates a league and is putting forth that effort as a commissioner, I want them to be rewarded by getting their league filled. And so I'm happy to help anyone who is doing that. Next, we do have setting up a league chat. Once you've filled your league, the next step I have is asking everyone in the league, do you have Voxer? Voxer is my preferred message chat service because you do have the audio function of that. Some people prefer Slack or GroupMe, but I prefer Voxer just because I am a person who creates very abstract and difficult league settings, and it's a lot more easy to explain the league with no name conference division setup through voice than it is through written text, and the other applications do not offer a voice component. So I prefer Voxer, but setting up any sort of league chat, there's lots of benefits to that. One of the main ones being just keeping the league chat active, whether it be someone saying, hey, I'm trying to shop player X, or hey, like, what's everyone's thoughts on the big news of Mark Cooper re-signing with the Cowboys? Just football talk happening in a league chat leads to more activity in the league, whether it's trades or waiver wire or the draft. All those things are promoted by, just people talking. My best league chats aren't even really talking trade in the league chat. You're more so talking about what's happening in the NFL, what's happening from a Dynasty value format. Some people maybe spill a little bit too much in terms of their own personal values and be like, oh, now I know how to take advantage of that. And, Leo Pasiga knows to always take notes on people who are giving up a little bit too much information. I am very guilty of that in my league chats. I'll be like, oh, yeah, this is what I think is this, and this is the best strategy for this. And I'm like, why am I giving this information to other people? So, yeah, setting up a league chat, it's important for communication between people, so for trade offers, but also just keeping the league active. And the more, I'm going to go check on a team when I see a message in that league chat more so than a league chat that's inactive or doesn't exist. I'm like, I won't think about it as much because I don't see, League X, chatting it up. Okay, I'm going to go make an offer in League X. So there's lots of benefits to having a league chat, mostly being it encourages activity, it creates activity. So make sure that as a commissioner, you do your best to try and create a league chat that works best for everyone in the league. Now, one thing that I have found is that not everyone of my leagues likes Voxer, and you kind of have to try and find the best middle ground because you can't really force a message service on somebody. If they don't like Voxer, they're not going to use it. And that's an unfortunate part of it. But try and find out what your league as a whole likes best, certainly what you like best as a commissioner, and use that league chat service. Next, you have rookies. You have to decide between to an extent, this should be in the bylaws, but you also decide what you're going to be doing with rookies. Are rookies going to be in the startup drafter auction, or are rookie picks going to be in the startup drafter auction, or is everyone going to be giving a specific amount or a specific pick or amount based on various things, whether it's you automatically get a certain rookie pick because you were a certain place in the startup, or you automatically get a certain amount of auction money in the rookie auction, and everyone can trade as it be. I do not recommend saying, okay, the person who gets the 112 automatically gets the 101 in the nice startup. I mean, in the rookie draft of that startup. It's not my preferred method. It kind of gives an easy 101 to somebody, whereas in other circumstances, you have to pay for that. One example in Superflex, Joe Burrow is probably going in the early second round of Dynasty startups. So someone who gets the 1-2 turn and also gets the 101 would get two, top 13 rookies, top 13 veterans, and another player that should be valued around the same value of those guys. That's why that isn't the best format. But most importantly, you do have to decide. You have to decide whether it's a group discussion or something that you prefer and you're going to implement as the commissioner. It is, how are rookies going to be done? Is it going to be done during the startup, after the startup? And if it's after the startup, then how are you going to implement how those picks or money is distributed? And then the last thing it's a little bit of a shorter episode because we're going to keep on building this. Right now we're just building all of the steps of being commissioner. Episode 1, we did writing bylaws. In episode 2, we're doing everything in between writing bylaws and that startup beginning. We're going to need some little bit more specifics in draft and auction at a later date. But our next thing is draft order or an auction, how much auction dollars. So auction dollars is pretty simple. You just make a decision of what your auction budget will be, and you give that to everybody. And it can be a little bit different in a bankroll league. In a traditional bankroll league, you would have, a non-bankroll league, you would have $400 startup or $500 startup. It doesn't really matter the specific number. 400 seems to be the most widely used, but it can really be any number because at the end of the day, you're only looking at the percentage of the budget. So it's not Andrew Luck is worth $25 no matter what. He's worth $25 in a $100 auction budget. Obviously, Andrew Luck's not worth anything right now, but when you're looking at what players are worth in auction dollars in a startup auction, it's based on the percentage, not the actual dollar amount. And as far as the draft, in determining a draft order, there are a number of fun ways to do a draft order. And one of the ones that I've done in the past is the Scott Fish Playoff League. When I knew that I was going to be starting a league in the following offseason, I filled the league first. And then we use the Scott Fish Playoff League, which most importantly, if you're doing like a competition for draft order, you should be doing it on a way that there's some sort of a level playing field. No one has a distinct advantage, and that's something like a Scott Fish Playoff League, which is basically you start one of each position throughout the playoffs in a flex, and everyone's given the same opportunity to start the players once. So certainly that's not the only way you can do a draft order, determining draft order. You can do it randomized. There's a couple of, fun, there's like, I think it's 100-yard dash draft or something like that, that Scott Fish likes to use. And, just get creative with it. Anything that if it's a home league, you can certainly do lots of different, events and things like that you can implement to get your draft order. Obviously, the most common one is just using a random draft order generator, which is not a bad thing. It's not the most fun way to do it, but it's probably the most fair at the end of the day. So if you can find something fun that fits your league, I encourage you to do it. But if you want to just do a random draft order generator to set your draft order, that's fine too. So today we discussed how we recruit owners, how to keep the league active with a league chat, what to do with rookies in the startup, and what you're doing as a commissioner for that, as well as how to set a draft order or the auction budget. So those are things we went over today, and we'll be going over startup drafts and auctions in future weeks. And thank you so much for watching. Make sure to make sure to subscribe to the DLF YouTube channel. Make sure to comment. Let me know what kind of DLF Commissioner Chronicle videos you'd like to see in the future. Would love to hear your ideas. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys next week.